and welcome back to Baron's Den for another Star Player Ups and Downs. And we're doing Glart Smashrip today. Good old Glarty, my absolute pride and joy. I just love this guy. One of, if not my favourite star player in the game. Totally underrated. And I'm here to tell you all how great he is. I don't care that nobody agrees with me. I just love this dude. So yeah, I'm obviously a Skaven coach of old, going all the way back to the 90s. Although obviously my use of Glart doesn't go back that far. It was in the 2016 edition, and basically the star player model came out, and I just really liked it, so I bought it and kind of used him as a lineman. And in League in the 2016 edition, I'd try and get like an armor 10 plus line rat or something, just to represent, just to make sure it fit in with Glart. And then I took him to a tournament as part of my Skaven build, and he was just brilliant, really, really useful. And to this day, if I can afford him, I'll squeeze him into a Skaven roster. I think in that tournament I was allowed to include him in my starting 11, so I was able to field him with a Rat Ogre as well, and he just does work. He really does. Anyway, that's my little background on my use of Glart, but let's see what he looks like in the new edition of the game. Okay, so let's start with his stats. For a start off, he's movement 5, and for that we've got to give him a down. He's not exactly a quick player. He's not really slow, it's only a little down, but a down nonetheless. But he's also strength 4, which is an up. He deserves that up because being strength 4, he's a fairly mobile strength 4, and it means he can take on strength 3 players comfortably, but also with assist take it to stronger players as well. And when you've got stronger players, often come with higher armor. So when you've got someone with claws, you want to get him stuck into those higher strength, juicier targets. But then again, another drawback, as with his movement, it's agility 4+, which means if he gets tagged, he's probably not going to be dodging away from anyone. So I don't necessarily see him being particularly mobile around the pitch. He doesn't have break tackle or anything, so he's pretty much, if he's marked, there's not a great chance of him being able to dodge away. He's got a loner, so yeah, it's not great. His passing is also not great, but as he's never the sort of player that you want to pass unless it's an utter emergency, I'm not going to give him a down for that. And then armor 9+, I would nearly gave it an up because armor 9+ is pretty good on a Skaven team, but generally across all armors, it's still fairly average. So I'm not going to give him an up for that. So actually, on his stats alone, he's not necessarily that great. But time for all the best skill in the game, block. There he goes. That's an up. Coming with block, that combat skill means you can trust him when he goes into blocks. And he's also got claws, a removal skill, because it can cut through armor, making any armor an 8+. Okay, he doesn't have mighty blow, so you're reliant on him to do the injury roll himself. But claws is just really useful because if you're playing against stronger teams with higher armor, you've got a good chance of at least stunning them and cutting through their armor. So claws really useful on this guy. Grab and Juggernaut are two skills that are welcome, but I don't know if they both qualify for an up, so I'm giving them a joint up. Because grab is really useful because it means you can manipulate where you want the player to go. You can pass him off, you can feed him to the Rat Ogre, who can then frenzy him into the sidelines. There's all sorts of things you can do, and grab just gives you those options. And Juggernaut means that if you need to take on a block piece and it's a blitz, you can throw your weight behind that and move him back, and it could also help you to surf stand firm players. So again, they've both got their uses there. And finally, he's got stand firm, which is another up, because stand firm is a really, really useful skill. One of the most underrated skills, I think. And it's not underrated by everyone, but I just think no one thinks to utilise it. And I suppose people who run Necro and Imperial Nobility can have newfound appreciation for stand firm, because I mean, I know I certainly have, from having the flesh columns with it. It really made me think, oh, it's so useful, particularly as you can choose whether to use it or not. It just allows you to manipulate the movement of the opposition, and I love anything that does that. So yeah, after his skills, he's now up to 5-2. Let's have a look who he plays for. So it's Underworld Challenge. So initially I looked at this and thought he hasn't got much access. There's only 4 teams that can play him. So I wasn't sure whether to give him a down. And then I thought, but you know what? I can see him doing work on all 4 of those teams. None of those teams are particularly strong. So he does fit a niche of giving them a little bit more bite, should you feel that you want it. So I'm not going to give it a down or an up, but I just think it's worth knowing he doesn't play for that many teams anymore, because I think he used to be favoured of as well. But the teams he does play for once, it's not like you're trying to give a Skaven team a gutter runner. You are trying to give them something that they don't have a lot of, which is a strength 4 block piece. They don't have that on their team, and they're probably never going to have that. You might get the Rat Ogre to block, but that's unreliable at best. This guy is pretty reliable. So, on to his special rule. Frenzied Rush. Once per half, when Glart declares a blitz action, he may gain the Frenzy skill until the end of this activation. Glart may not use the grab skill during a turn which he uses this special rule. So basically, you can switch your grab into Frenzy once per half. I used to think this was a once per game special rule, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to give this an up, because what I like about this is it gives you options, and it means that the opposition has always got to be cognizant that you've got this Frenzy ability hidden up your sleeve, and I think that's quite powerful. And because he's strength 4 and he's got Juggernaut, that Frenzy could be put to very good use. And I know it's only once per half, but if you are able to Frenzy somebody off the pitch, or Frenzy a ball carrier, and get a good 4 dice on them, then it's definitely worth having, isn't it? I like that one. And it's not overpowered at the same point. It's not like it's, any turn he can just turn this on. It's once per half, which I think that's pretty good. And finally, it's his cost, and his cost is definitely getting up. 175 is a beautiful little gap to put that in. True, it could be said that you might not be fishing for someone like Glart when you're Snotlings or Goblins, because there's plenty of others to go for. But I think for Skaven and Underworld, there's definitely potential in using this guy, because he's cheaper than Hackflem, obviously. He's more expensive than Skitter, I think. Or Skitter may have gone up. But again, Hackflem and Skitter do more of what you've already got on your Skaven team, which, if it's a league match and you're missing your Gutter Runner, then I can see that Hackflem or Skitter being a good replacement. But this guy just gives you something that you don't necessarily have. So I am a huge fan of Glart Smashrip, and that would bring him out at +5. Am I biased? Yes. And am I looking at this with rose-tinted spectacles? Yes, I totally am. And I'm not going to apologise for it. I know a lot of other people would rate him a lot lower, but this is my list, so I get to choose. And I also encourage you, take him, use him. You will not be disappointed. He can do stuff. So in the tier list, look, he goes into A tier just. Yeah, so I genuinely now would prefer him to anyone in B tier. I would genuinely prefer him to anyone in, B tier down as a star player. And yes, you can't argue that the 3S players are not better, because they are. And maybe some of the other A's, but I definitely think he's a legend, and I'm going to stick to that. Right, that's it from me. I was going to do Skitter, but then Zilla asked for Glart instead, so here's Glart. I better leave it a bit of time now for Skitter, because I'm trying to move around the different leagues, so we won't do another Underworld Challenge one just yet, but when we do come back to Underworld Challenge, we'll make sure we do Skitter. Okay, right, well, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.